Welcome to Academy of Tone 134. Wow, today it's a bit noisy because it's almost Jimi Hendrix's 80th birthday. Jimi Hendrix is one of the greatest guitar players of all time. Every guitar hero that I know is deeply impressed by what he has achieved for the electric guitar. And not only his playing, but also the sounds that he created were unheard at the time. So, yeah, I think it's Saturday this week, 27th of November. 42 he was born, and he died on the 18th of September in 1970 in London. With Monika Dannemann, a German girl, next to him. Very spooky. Also, the story about Jimi Hendrix is so very interesting. I have read a lot of things about Jimi Hendrix. Let me show you, for instance, this Electric Gypsy biography. Something I can highly recommend because 800 pages English. If you have written or if you have read that book, you know English quite well. And this is about his life from, when he was born, Seattle, with all the drama in the family. The mother was alcoholic, so he was basically raised with his father, who was also not so stable. He had a few. He had a sister and a brother. And actually, I met Leon Hendrix, and I forgot to show the picture here because 10 years ago, when Jimi turned 70, there was a tour, and I think it was Randy Hansen. And they had Leon Hendrix, the younger brother of Jimi, as an opener. And I was also playing with them. So this is when I met Leon Hendrix backstage. At least this is how far I could get into the Hendrix family. Yeah. And then, of course, when it comes to what he has changed in the world of electric guitars, it's unbelievable. There was always something fresh and exciting about him. But maybe it's for the guys that don't know his background and history. I just took a few notes. Let me read some of the stuff here. For me, he is like a provocation to the guitar world. He has been like that. Before Jimi Hendrix, everything kind of was more or less normal. I mean, there was Elvis, and Jimi was a big Elvis fan. Then there were a few other players that he admired, and one of them was Eric Clapton, which is kind of a missing link in why Jimi actually came from the US to London. But maybe you have to understand his family chaos and his kind of strange growing up. He was stealing a car, and then for some reason he ended up in the military, being a parachuter, jumping from planes and just jumping into the sky. And he was also reading like science fiction, weird kind of risky guy. And that's one of the ingredients that Jimi's playing has. He's so hard to copy because he risks a lot. He's not like one of those controlled guitar players that have their licks ready and play them the same every night, kind of. He was super spontaneous, and he was living in the moment, and he was kind of going to the extremes, and yeah, all this influences from the politics, you know, Vietnam War, and we all know the Star Spangled Bangle, the American anthem he played on the guitar, with the dive bombs and stuff like that. And that was only possible because he was experimenting with tone. And for me, Jimi has a few tones. Well, it started kind of with the Are You Experienced album, and yeah, wait a minute, I think I have this as CD as well. Ding, 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 yeah. So, which is here, I made the Hendrix family rich because I have vinyl and CD. On this one, which was his first one, is all the classic Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe, Love or Confusion, Fire, Wind Cries Mary, Foxy Lady, Are You Experienced? So this is all on the first record. But I really clicked with Hendrix on his second record, which was Axis Bold as Love. Because this is kind of a concept album. It's when I was in my late teens, early 20s, whatever, I don't remember exactly. I was listening to Grace Jones' Slave to the Rhythm, a concept album with ultrasonic experience. Trevor Horn was my production hero, and this was kind of it was a trip. If you put on this record, it's a trip. And if you do drugs, you have a trip. If you don't do drugs, you might have some similar experience, but it's, yeah. Try it with a joint, maybe. Something special happens there. Anyway, but, you know, this was a concept album. Next is Electric Ladyland, which is another milestone that has been recorded in his own studio in New York. And then at kind of the end of his career, we see things like the band of Gypsys, with Buddy Miles on drums and Billy Cox on bass. Not the Jimi Hendrix Experience lineup with the English guys. But just there's this real, and there's posthum things that have been released. Oops. Isabella is, I think, is on this one. Stone Free. Yeah, and different versions of Red House. Here, by the way, Red House was always different. And The Cry of Love, which is, again, Freedom killer track. Freedom. Wow. It's kind of funky, even. Easy Rider, blah, blah, blah. So this is what you need to know about Hendrix. And there are a lot of compilation of other artists covering or making their own interpretations of Hendrix music. And there's bands like The Cure, Eric Clapton, Spin Doctors, Buddy Guy, Jeff Beck and Seal, Nigel Kennedy, Pretenders. It's great to listen to the songs of Jimi Hendrix also played by other people. And this was, well, my inspiration for doing my own Blug Plays Hendrix DVD, which came out in, when was it? 2010. Yeah, so this was the idea that I had with playing his music with my band and in my style. On this one, we have David Reedman, English singer. He's mainly a hard rock singer. That's David. Where is it? This is David. Pink Cream 69. Then there's Reggie Worthy on bass, who is the original bass player with Ike and Tina Turner. He came to this gig last minute because my friend Raoul Walton couldn't make the gig. We did the rehearsal for the songs and then he was sick. I had to take him to hospital, and last minute Reggie came and did it. I was just sending him the recordings that we've done in the rehearsal room, so he knew our arrangements, which were slightly different. And he was listening to the arrangements on the way to the show and then played the show. And Wolf Simon on drums. And of course myself. You know what? Let's check out one of the clips from this DVD. Here we go. Do we have the one which is, I think it was Watchtower? Okay, a quick All Along the Watchtower, Blug Plays Hendrix style.
There's too much confusion. sisters kept their view, while the women came and went, barefoot servants too. Outside in the cold distance, while that deep ground, come on, two riders were approaching, and the whale began to howl. Hey! Oh! Yeah! Oh, whale began to howl. All along the watchtower, 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 all along the watchtower.
Yeah, All Along the Watchtower, written by, hey, who was it? Oh, fuck, the guy who composed, hey, you guys, you know it. Curly hair as well. I just had it in my mind. Bob Dylan, of course. Bob Dylan, fucking hell. Okay, All Along the Watchtower. So already Jimi Hendrix did a cover of Watchtower and an interpretation. So I did an interpretation of an interpretation, which is fair enough because, you know, what I like about Jimi Hendrix, he always changed the arrangements of his song. He always improvised a lot, and that's the spirit that got me a lot when I listened to the good Jimi Hendrix live recordings and the stuff on the CDs or on the records. Okay, let me do a little bit more authentic Hendrix, so we all understand where the whole thing is coming from. Well, this is my. Actually, this is a parts caster. It's a. Oh, wait a minute. This is this one. Where's the other one? Did I play this guitar? Unbelievable. Okay, yeah. Okay, give me the other one. I thought I was playing the parts caster. Unbelievable. Okay, because this is standard tuning, and now I go for the authentic tuning, which is a half step down. Oops. Tuner. A tuner does help. Yeah, this is the part. I really thought I played that guitar. Wow. D sharp. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So I found out that Jimi was playing a super special set of strings. The high E string is a 10, the B string is a 13, the G string is a 15, then there's a 26 for the D string, a 32 for the A string, and a 38 for the low E string. In the picture you can see what I put on the guitar. I didn't have a 38 that thin, so I had a 42, but the rest is kind of almost correct. Yeah. And for me, the point is, it changes the feel so much. Wait a minute. What is the tuning? Okay. Sorry, this will take a while. Okay, almost in tune. Sorry for that mess. Anyway, so playing a E flat tuning is a different thing, and with this kind of weird strings, like very thin bottom strings, and the top strings are make sense to me. But actually have to say it really feels good. It's like something that I like. But okay, I'll start with Jimi Hendrix and his clean tone. And what I'm actually playing right now is this Fender amp here, because back in those days he had some Fender amps. I just used this one because it's handy. Probably my super blackface bassman there in the corner would have done a similar or maybe even a slightly better job, but this one is a very nice and clean Fender amp, which is something. So that's something you need to play classic stuff like. Okay, but let's use a better cabinet for it from the Blue Box, which is actually this one. Exactly this cabinet from this amp. But here's my amp 1. As you can hear, not much difference. So, and I got some reverb, and I got my boost. Okay, a nice clean tone makes the job. But when you listen to the original recording, you find a Leslie. And guess what? I have a Leslie here, which is my own creation, the Houston Kettner Rotosphere. Let's listen to what this can do. And then we, oops. I need a patch cable. Do we have a patch cable? I have. I have a patch cable here that goes into this one. So let's put the guitar in here. And yeah, so much better. And by the way, with a Fender amp, it sounds cool too, but I believe it sounds better with my... That's the Fender. And it's a bit louder, but it's so much richer. Yeah. Rhodosphere, Leslie. So this can be heard on the original recording of Little Wing on the Axis Bold is Love album. So it starts kind of with the dry Fender sound, and then at the end of the intro chords, he brings in a real Leslie, and that's pretty close. So if you don't know Leslie, this is the Leslie. And it's a cool effect. Has been used by other greats, and exactly this pedal that I helped to design with Bernd Schneider back in the days, which was also my idea, is used by Joe Bonamassa, it's used by Jeff Beck, by Billy Gibbons, and basically all the greats. And it's still probably the most characterful Leslie pedal there is at this point. Okay, next, when you go back in history of Jimi Hendrix tone, fuzz is the thing. There's the Arbiter fuzz. Well, this is a Jim Dunlop remake of this called the Model JH2. Yeah, it's that classic fuzz, and he has used a few different fuzzes. And wait a minute, I wrote down what in the end he even had a Marshall Super Fuzz, which I had here in another episode. Roger Meyer was his tech in the UK, and he modified also his pedals a lot. So he started with a Maestro fuzz, which is kind of the original one, and then he moved on to the Arbiter fuzz face, which is kind of my black one here. The original one was red and silver too. And then Roger, when he came to London, he met this Navy electrician or technician that experimented with sounds already, and he modded the fuzzes to Jimmy's liking. And so there was the Axis fuzz, which is kind of the tone that he was using on Axis Bold as Love. And then later he invented this Octavia fuzz, which is another great effect. Let me show you fuzzes. I use that guitar and plug it in here. Input. Wait a minute. You know what? I keep the whole thing now super short and go straight into the amp. Shortest signal path possible. So guitar, fuzz, amp. Clean. Yeah, we don't need a Fender anymore. Where's my, hello, there's the switch. Okay. Okay, that's a clean tone, but he wasn't using fuzz that much in front of clean amps because that sounds like that. Okay, that would be a fuzz into a Fender amp, but when he came to London, he met another James, which was Jim Marshall. And Jimmy was using the GTM 45 100 amps, which were the louder version of this GTM 45. Okay, now, sorry, let's go back for the switching system. Come on, let's go in here. And then I show you what this sounds like. First, just the great Marshall. Okay, that's the amp 1, and that's the great GTM 45, which is, you know, that amp. I always rave about it. It's probably the best amp in my collection. It's a real 1965 GTM 45 with all the 9 yards, how it should be. The settings of this amp is pretty cranked. Mids to the max, bass on half, treble on 2 o'clock, volume all the way up, and presence 3 o'clock. So that's my settings on this amp. Yeah, cranked Marshall. That's classic. Fuck this guitar. Hey, but when you're listening to Jimi Hendrix, you noticed probably too that he was tuning his guitar all the time. Maybe it's the strings. I just put them on right before the show, and this is what we get, a guitar out of tune, which is very authentic Hendrix. Okay, let's copy that sound with my amp 1. So basically pretty close. I'm using the vintage channel on low gain mode, and I use the amp also in half power mode. Well, because the GTM 45 isn't that loud, and it is about being power amp saturation a little bit. That makes it sound closer. But these are my settings. Well, the settings on the amp 4, 4.5, and 4, and that's it. So it's basically nothing special. It's 4, 4, 5, or 4, 4, 4. Yeah. Yeah. This one has reverb. This one doesn't. Anyway, so that's the foundation of, all the stuff that Jimi used on stage. And then with this kind of Marshall sound, he was using the fuzz, and he was using later on the Uni-Vibe and the wah-wah. But I show you the fuzz now into this. Let's keep the signal path short. So I go guitar into the fuzz, and the fuzz goes straight into my amp 1, because we heard it's close to the Marshall. That is the classic Marshall tone, and the fuzz on top makes it. Okay, and the big thing about fuzz for me is it cleans up. Okay, very important. I have another fuzz, which is the Octa fuzz. That is the fuzz pedal that he was using later in his career. Wait a minute, how do I? Okay, master down. And I swap this pedal for this one. And this is a Roger Mayer Octavia. Okay, input, output, and here we go. Wait a minute, get the Uni-Vibe out of the way, and oh. And remember, it sounds most like an octave when you turn down the tone on your guitar. So this is all the way up. It's way too harsh. And then if you turn it all the way down, it is a very, very special effect. Okay, that's the octave fuzz or Octavia. And not to forget about the Uni-Vibe. I have a Voodoo Vibe here by Roger Mayer. I modded it a little bit because I wasn't happy about one transistor. It was a little tone sucker. So this is so long ago. I don't really remember what I've done, but it is something. It's still a good pedal. So input, no, this is output, needs to go here. Bam, and this is input. And then I need, it's got power, and I want the Octavia as well, just in case. Okay, bypass. Switch to my favorite Marshall cab. As you can hear, it's that, let's say, pseudo Leslie effect. It's based on some kind of phaser circuitry, but it's in effect a classic. It became a classic, and Jimi always used the latest technology, and then he made some music with it, and this was why he was creating the newest sounds before anybody else. He had the first fuzzes with the Marshall. He was inspired by Clapton, because Clapton, back in the 60s, he kind of had that Marshall tone. Of course, with Les Paul, but this was kind of the thing that Clapton was God back in those days, and he had the tone and he was playing fluently, and he had the blues kind of thing going. And Jimmy came, he wanted to meet Eric Clapton because he was very impressed about this Beano album that came out with the Blues Breakers in '66, the year when Jimmy came to Europe. And then, well, things, were locking in with the effect pedals and the next sounds, and with the band and performances, and shocking the rest of the world, and playing his ass off and leaving everybody totally jaw-dropping. But we could hear that vibe effect. The Uni-Vibe is original effect is a Japanese design. I have another one, the Deja Vibe, from Full Tone. Great company. Unfortunately, they went bankrupt. To good quality, and this is number 32. I have a very early one, 692. So anyway, I have a bunch of these vibes here, and there's a Rodo vibe by Dunlop again, where the speed control is kind of already in the pedal, which is cool. Yeah. And talking about pedals, of course, there is the famous wah pedal. And let's check this one. Guitar goes into the fuzz. No, let's put the guitar. The guitar goes into the wah. The wah goes into the Octavia, and that goes into the vibe, and from the vibe we go to the amp. So there's a thing about wah-wah pedals. I am obsessed with wah-wah pedals. I even bought a super early one, Vox wah-wah. They all come with different coils, you know, the Farcell and whatnot. There's like 3 different types, and this is like a very, very early Vox from the first year, I believe. Then I have this one here that I just played, which is my number 2 Vox wah, and there's another one on my actual Hendrix board, which is my favorite Vox wah. Yeah, the wah-wah, again, it's a classic that Jimmy made famous. Okay, so this is kind of the arsenal of Jimi Hendrix's effects. And then, of course, he played different styles. I mean, just his clean playing. I mean, this is like, you know, the little wing kind of thing is amazing with, you know, arpeggios and this double stops and beautiful lines combined, and then the finger around the neck. You know, always like a piano player almost, and and then he was singing at the same time. Come on, man, this is unbelievable for me, unbelievable. So I look at the chat and I see a lot of comments here. Rainy Day, Dream Away, yeah, extreme wah tone. For me, there are some iconic Jimmy tones. One of the is on the Electric Ladyland album. That's one of my all-time favorites. It's that tone of Voodoo Child, but not the wah version. I'm talking about the blues version. That sounds so big. It's the biggest guitar sound ever. Yeah, get this album, listen to Voodoo Child in that blues version. Unbelievable. I think Steve Winwood plays organ on that. Yeah. Okay, let's see what kind of picks did Jimmy use. Yeah, he used similar to myself a thick triangle shaped pick, Fender Ultra Heavy. Something. Well, this is not a Fender one, but I show you how this looks like. This. Okay. And the thing about these picks is, of course, that it has 3 sides and yeah. Anyway, the thing about this big, large picks is you can dig in really hard, and you have a lot of energy behind the strings. So, yeah. Yeah, when I set up this guitar earlier today, it was funny because I had to do a little compound radius on the neck here, because to make those wide bands, which Jimmy was doing, like yeah. Well, the way I put the strings on here is the angle was not tight enough. There's actually two holes. I used the top one, which is not good enough if you really dig in that hard, what I was just doing with this Jimi Hendrix style pick. Wawa will be featured on the standard amp X FX set. Now comes questions for amp X. Sure, yeah, we have Wawa on amp X. You need though a expression pedal, but I'm working on a BluGuitar expression pedal that comes on the wing for your amp X. But you can use any other standard expression pedal as well. Arjun Beja, the Germans. Hi Thomas, ist das ein Summer of Love Body mit einem Master-Build Neck? Yes, I mean, this is the parts caster. This is, sometimes I do experiments and have leftovers, and this is something I put together. It's a Summer of Love body, and I think it's a BluGuitar experiment neck that turned out to be overaged. Looks like the relic is like, okay, this is probably 1930. I mean, before Christ. Yeah, anyway, it's so I couldn't sell that guitar, but it's still a good guitar. And then if you look at my fingers, see, when I was sanding down the frets here, you have all this metal stuff sticking between the frets, and that's on my hands now. Dirty hands. Yeah. Yeah, feels great. For me, I simply do it. When I thought this guitar needs a little extra tweak, I just cut all the strings and got my 300 and 1000 grain sandpaper, went for it, cleaned it a little bit, not enough, and then put on some strings. Well, it's not in tune because super fresh strings, but it's fun. It's fun, and it's you develop a feel for how you set up your guitar, and this guitar needed that. That's wildness, Jimmy's wildness. Okay, any other questions here? Was born disabled, but I got sick. Okay, that's some. I don't get it. There's a conversation going on. The almost missing dot marker on the 12th fret is a reference to your 61. Yeah, well, this neck actually has scalloping to be similar to my original 61, which is actually sitting over here. And here. To this was another experiment trying to do a kind of soft scalloping of the fretboard. Yeah, makes me feel home in a way. It's a little bit too much, but it's pretty good. So not a bad guitar. I could play that more often. The funny thing about these Hendrix gauge strings is they bend so easy. But that's what you need to be more authentic Hendrix. And by the way, you never get authentic Hendrix with a proper right-handed guitar playing right, because he was playing the guitar upside down, and then the bridge pickup needs to go this way to have the same distance or the same area of the string picking up like Jimmy. So there's like more twang on the low E string and a little less harshness on the high E string. That's the Jimmy tone, which happened by accident because he was playing upside down. That's all. But it's also another thing to be authentic Hendrix if you want to go all the way. For me, not needed. Did Jimmy use much delay or echo? No. I think he only used that if he used that in the studio. I mean, he was experimenting a lot in the studio with phasing, flanging, and all the kind of effects that were available. He was very much into experiments and creating new soundscapes and fresh, exciting effects. And back in the 60s and late 60s, there was kind of a race with the Beatles doing stuff and, other bands. The psychedelic era was on the peak. And of course, they experimented with anything. And they experimented with drugs too. And effects and drugs go hand in hand. And in the end, that's the tragic. I mean, most of those experiments didn't end well. This is why Jimi Hendrix only became 27. One of the club of 27. But yeah, it's hard to be grounded when you are up in the sky, which he was, definitely. And then when Jimmy passed away with Monika Dannemann, the German lady that was with him, she had his last black Stratocaster. And Monika Dannemann then was together with Uli John Roth. Guess who has that guitar now? Probably. I could ask him. But Uli was also inspired by Hendrix a lot. I mean, he had his project doing a Hendrix C-style music, besides his neoclassical stuff, being an inventor. So lots of respect to Uli John Roth. Let me read some more comments here. Wird MX auch ein Uni-Vibe haben? One day for sure, but not everything at the first day. All the effects that I love, they will end up eventually in the MX because that's my job. No? And I do it for myself and share it with you guys. And when they are complicated and take a lot of time, you have to pay for it to have a budget. Jason Stone, best wishes. Okay. Uni-Vibe, Wawa, yes, we have all this. Should people talk about Jimi Hendrix who understand his music and don't make après-ski music from it? Shouldn't people talk about Jimi Hendrix who understand his music and don't make après-ski music from it? I don't know. For me, anything creative is fine. And to make music, it's such a personal thing. This is what you can learn from Jimi Hendrix. It's like, all the stuff that he learned, and then the way he created things was next level because he was free in his mind, and that's why he could create next level stuff. And on the other hand, he was also forced to do it because for him there was no way back, no secure, rest or anything. There was only next and better and more exciting. And the tragic about personalities like Jimmy is they never rest, and then when they take drugs they can't sleep, and then they take pills, and and it all ends up in a bloody cocktail that kills them. I mean, Keith Moon, another one of those, and even then when they realize it's kind of getting to a complicated situation, they didn't have the proper doctors. Maybe Keith Richards had them all. I don't know. Okay, let's read. According to Eddie Kramer, Hendrix used a Fender Dual Showman on Voodoo Child in the studio. Any idea how that amp would have sounded without the fuzz? Well, Fender Dual Showman is Fender amps. It's not that super different from a Marshall. Of course, it's a bit more, I would say, mid-rangey, mid-focused versus a Marshall. But it also depends so much on the cabinet. So I think the cabinet is at least 50% of the tone. And if you crank a Fender, it can be also nice. You have to be careful with the bass. Fender amps don't like bass, too much bass. So I put this bass here on 2.5. 2.5, 3. It's kind of a switch, and after this it's too much for most tones. I mean, I'm not saying this is the only way to set up a Fender amp, but this is a classic. There's like less bass, and there's a lot of bass, and then there's too much bass on a Fender. Seele is Uli said he don't have it. It is the estate of Monica's family. Yes, of course. Okay, you know more than I do. And then another comment by Seele is, you have mentioned that there is a shortage of blue box here. Yes, and in use. Well, we will get our last production run of blue boxes pretty soon, probably in December before Christmas. And we could source a few of the chips, so we have that last production one coming. You can get it from us direct because there's no margin for. It's so expensive for us, for ourselves, to manufacture it because of the component prices, and therefore you have to go and buy it direct from our web store. What was Jimmy's main Marshall head? From what I read, it was that GTM 45100. That amp is kind of based on this one. Imagine 1966. This is that's the year. This is 65 actually, this amp. And in that year, Jim Marshall did a bigger version with 2 sets of output stages, kind of, with 2 transformers to have more headroom, more volume. Because back in the days, they were kind of sending the sound from stage into the big hall. There was not big PA systems. So the guitars needed to be loud. And that amp with kind of a double output stage is what Jimmy had used. I once played one of those amps. They are great because they have this oomph, a lot of nice low end. Even though Jimmy wasn't using the bass all the way up, but still there's a certain warmth about that amp, which I love. And that's the more workable version of that amp. That's okay. Jimi Hendrix Tribute 91 from the Storm. Ah, yeah. There's many tributes for Jimi Hendrix music, which is great. You know what? Talking about Jimi Hendrix music, I have something for our Germans. Since I spent so much time writing and teaching about Jimi Hendrix, there's a book in German for people that are interested on Jimi Hendrix, and this is a picture of me and David Reedman, and here you can see my my combination that I used live, which was the Summer of Love and my 61 Strat with my Thomas Marshall, which is this one down there. Back in the days for the first one, because this was pre-Amp 1, but I already had an Amp 1 prototype on top of that. The experts know. Yeah. So I was writing about Jimi Hendrix on this book. I also have done tutorial DVDs. If you still have a DVD player, and if you understand German, and maybe, hey, we do it only for the Germans. We have 3. So if you want one, I have a question for you. What is the question? What's the name of my singer in Blug Plays Hendrix? First one can win this DVD. Da-da-da. Name of the singer that I recorded all my Blug Plays Hendrix stuff with. Anyone remembers? David Reedman. Okay, Hardy O. So Hardy, you get one of these. Write us an email with your address. YouTube@bluguitar.com, huh? Is that safe? So everybody doesn't know. Or I think, or use what address? Info@bluguitar. Let's do info@bluguitar.com, and this is yours. Okay. Next question for the next German. Which year did Jimi Hendrix come to Europe? Anyone? Which year did Jimi Hendrix came to London? Where the guy, he was spotted by a girlfriend of Keith Richards. 1966, Seele. Okay, same for you. Seele, My guitar screen film 65 is wrong. No, Seele is correct. 1966. It was second half of 1966 that Jimi Hendrix came, discovered by a girlfriend of Keith Richards in the Cafe War in New York, and a guy, the bass player from the Animals, the House of the Rising Sun is Animals, and I think it was the bass player who quit the band, became Jimmy's manager, and he got him into the UK, and then they formed their band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, with Mitchell and Noel Redding, being another guitar player that had to play the bass. But who cares? He was happy for a while. At the end, not so much. But anyway. Hey guys, 1971, Jimmy was already dead, just as a comment here. But yeah, we have Seele as the winner of the second one. And I need a third question. What was the youngest brother of Jimmy that I personally met 10 years ago? What's his first name? Of course, Hendrix, but the first name. Anyone remembers that? You need a hint? I was telling the story before. Leon. A-L. Yeah, Stratocaster, also Leon. Leon Hendrix. Okay, L was the first one. Yeah, please write your nickname as well in the emails so we know who you are from the chat. But okay, we get these 3 master classes out. And then, by the way, from the same publisher, I've done tons of these columns in the magazine. So maybe some of the Germans remember that. It was the guitar magazine. And then I had some backing tracks and some examples. And, you know, Jimmy, we can learn a lot from Jimmy. Bunt, wild und dreckig. Colorful, wild and dirty, like my Strat. And so every episode or every issue, I had a blues kind of thing, and then you know, all his kind of styles. Then there was I don't even remember. You know, blah 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 blah. Tons of content. Kaugummi Coolness by Tempo 160, which means chewing gum coolness. This was a Jimi Hendrix thing, you know, like he's so cool. And then he was playing Killing Floor. By the way, I think we have a clip of Killing Floor. Let's have a quick listen to that one. Here, lass das Paddel brennen. Paddel is the pig. It's, you know, paddle in German. Comes from the boat. Okay. So we call the big pig, I called it a paddle. Anyway, it's kind of funny to come up with titles and stories. Yeah, another episode. And then explaining some of his techniques and rhythmic stuff and you know, chord stuff, and then how he influenced Stevie Ray Vaughan and who is doing what and what's different, blah blah blah. Qualmende Schädel im Flugsimulator. That's deep. I think that's something for experts. Anyway, Killing Floor. I have a little snippet from my second DVD on Blug Plays Hendrix, which is this one. Sometimes it's hard to define which one is which. The darker blue one, this one, with the red roses, is the first one, which was recorded in Karlsruhe. And this is the second one, which was recorded in Hamburg, as we can see on this side. Live in Hamburg. Markthalle. And by the way, this was the club that, not club, this was the venue that the police made their, started their career here in Germany. There's a fantastic concert of the police in the same venue. Anyway, enjoy Killing Floor, I guess.
Thank you.
I could see in the comments here that you were spotting other M's from other artists. Yeah, this was a special Hendrix evening with Randy Hansen, myself, and Markus Demel. So, yeah, so everybody did his own interpretation. We all played different songs, and yeah, it was a great evening. Which year was it? Maybe somebody remembers. 2013. Or was it 2012? 21? 80? Hey, no, so I released it in 2013 because this was exactly like 10 years ago. Ha! Now I remember. Good that I've done stuff like that. Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, it needed the mixing and editing to be released. So 2012, 10 years ago. Any more comments here? Yeah, Manny von Bohr on drums on that night, which was clever because Manny von Bohr has this huge drum kit, and Manny plays with Randy Hansen, and I used him for that night as well. And Manny is actually another Saarländer, another guy that comes from Saarbrücken. He just left the Saarland at a young age, 30 years ago, living in Cologne area ever since. And but we know our local slang. We can talk Saarländisch, and Manny. Oh. Yeah, Money, killer drummer. And he does the whole thing old school. I mean, he has like whatever, 3 bass drums or 4 and 10 toms, and he has the biggest drum kits of them all. And that's his thing. On the other hand, I also like drummers with minimalistic drum sets, but everybody doing his own thing. Jimmy, somebody with pub, rich for pub. Jimmy played on a great album by the band Love. Have you heard it? No, I need to check that out. Jimmy actually played on a lot of other sessions because he needed to make some money when he was in America, and that's the funny thing, he was touring with the Isley Brothers and Little Richard, wearing kind of a uniform, like jackets and stuff like that. Nothing like what we know of him with the flower power, wild dresses. No, very, very different. But he has been in various different environments and situations, and this is where he picked up all his craftsmanship. Yeah. Anyway, so what else is going on? Great playing, thank you. Great guitar sound. Well, thank you. Can you make it in amp 1? Sure. What do you think effect on reverse headstock? Maple versus rosewood for Jimmy stuff. That's a good question. We have seen Jimmy with both, with maple strats and with rosewood strats. Well, if you ask me, I'm too much of a rosewood kind of guy. Therefore, well, I use the excuse that Jimmy used rosewood a lot. But if you want to have that kind of nice cleaner, especially if you like Little Wing and the Fender's clean tones with a rosewood, with a maple strat, that's some magic there. And he had that as well. And it actually works also with the fuzzes and stuff. So I stick with my personal preference, which is rosewood. But other people prefer maple. Fair enough. Tone-wise, so. Hard to tell you an advice here. Because Jimmy also had different tones on different recordings in different live situations. So there's not this one iconic tone that is like David Gilmour's Another Brick in the Wall solo, which wasn't a strat, by the way, as we all know. But this is a tone, and if you want to get that tone, it's so iconic. With Jimmy, you hear actually different sounds. Always influenced a lot by the effects and the amp, which is an art by itself. Because think of Jimi Hendrix, he was using 3 pedals, a wah-wah pedal, a fuzz pedal, and a Uni-Vibe pedal. And now, decades later, we do the same. Nothing has changed. He has showed us the way. Before Jimi, there was maybe 1 echo or maybe 1 fuzz, but not 3 of them. And I mean, imagine Jimmy's pedal board today. I'm sure he would have a whammy pedal. All that stuff. Anyway, what do I think about the effect on the reverse headstock? Yes, there is a big difference on reverse headstock because the length of the string behind the nut is so different. Like the low E string on the reverse headstock is that long on the reverse headstock and is only that long on a standard headstock. And that's and of course the opposite for the high E string and accordingly to the rest of the strings. But the thing is, it feels different and it sounds a little bit different. In the end, again, with the maple thing and the rosewood thing, it's more a personal preference. I had some trouble in the early days to get used to reverse headstocks because, which one is this tuner for? By now, I feel comfortable with because I live with that guitar for a long time now. But this one, well, that's standard. Yeah, I mean, I grew up with such a guitar, and this is more home for me. By now, I can do both. Okay, what my first concert was Jimi Hendrix. Wow, 16th January in Nuremberg at the Meistersingerhalle. Helmut, yeah. Well, I was too young to see Jimmy. Fuck, you did it. Okay, question from Aschenbecher. For the Americans and the rest of the world, Aschenbecher is ashtray in German. Aschenbecher. Where the Frankfurt slang is Aschebecher. Schwerverbrecher, Aschebecher. Okay, hast du auch die Picks, Trem und mehr an deiner Summer of Love modifiziert? Die klingt super. Oder sind das deine Finger? Well, did I modify the Summer of Love? I did a little bit. I put in my Kloppmann set in this one. But I have a totally original as well, which does a great job. But this one is the modified one. And by the way, this guitar is kind of the prototype that we have done for the Summer of Love. And it is all the classic vintage stuff. It's original. Yeah. But I kind of sent that one to tell them this is what I want. And the story behind this guitar, the Summer of Love in general, is when I have started with my DVD, I thought I need another guitar that looks different from my white Strat. Otherwise, you cannot define which kind of project of mine you're listening. And then I, of course, Monterey, blah, 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 was cosmetics that I liked. And this is the hand paint version of it, which unfortunately the paint already falls off. And the standard one is doing that in a decal with a clear lacquer to protect it. And we made 80 of these guitars and sold them in Germany because Vintage didn't want to do them by then, but I had so many people asking for that guitar, and they were pretty cheap actually, like hand paint 800 euros, and it was a lot of logistic to get those guitars done. And we sold them all, and everybody who bought one has such a special guitar today. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. Yep. But the thing about the vintage guitars is if you have a good one, it's a good guitar. And we are not talking, esoteric. This is the original hardware. All the rest, besides the pickups, is the original hardware with a cheap tremolo block. So I always rave about shallow holes and cold reed steel and stuff like that. But hey, this guitar does it too, and it's cheap. It's affordable. So. Helmut, again, he was only 16, almost 17. Well, yeah. The everlasting first. Okay, I will check that out. So thanks for all these hints. Question here, have you ever played Maybach guitars? Yes, sure. Maybach is a German brand, and they make beautiful guitars. Some of them I like more than others, as usual. I played a nice Les Paul, I think it was called Rheingold, like a theme thing with gold top, because I love gold tops. There's a little video that I have done with this guitar because I liked it so much. Their Strats is not what I really prefer, but the Les Pauls were nice. Oli P, I still have the neck 3, okay, of my Japan Squire Strat. I'm considering building another Strat on it. Is it worth it? Well, the thing is, you can always swap necks on Stratocasters. And this is how the past caster came along, and it turned out to be a great guitar. So, well, give it a try, and you learn. The good thing on the Strat is you can go back. You can just swap the neck, and that's it. If you don't make funny things with the neck pocket, no worries. It's worth experimenting with Strats. You learn a lot, and this helps you to get your thing or max out your thing. Do I make new 61 master builds? I wish. Yeah, forget it. At this point, we don't get enough. Torture Andreas Kloppmann, he builds one every half a year. But we have a waiting list that's way too long. Unfortunately, this is how it is. Well, thanks guys for joining in. We have a final clip with exactly this guitar. It is, I think, again from this DVD. In case you want one of those, you can find those on the BluGuitar website in our shop. There's some category like music. There's the Hendrix stuff and other stuff, and also downloads for people who don't want that physical old school Hendrix plastic and paper artwork, who prefer the new nothingness of downloading MP3s or whatever. So we have both. If you go to BluGuitar.com and then browse through the music, and you will find stuff there. Yeah, we have it in the comments here. Somebody found the Summer of Love on Reverb. Fine, yeah. It's a. The funny thing about this guitar is, you heard the story that I did the Hendrix thing, and I kind of forced Vintage to do that model besides my white one, and then it became really successful, and it became very successful in Asia. I was doing a clinic tour with that guitar because they all loved that colorful guitar. They didn't know about Jimi Hendrix, especially not in China, because in China, you know, who will listen to Jimi Hendrix? But they all love the flowers, and I had to sign a lot of these guitars in China, which was fun, all good. So the last track is from this DVD. I think it's from that DVD. Are You Experienced? And that's a good title for Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it kind of sums up what Jimi Hendrix is mentally. He is, you know, he's out there being different. He is next level. And then it's about, can you cope with that? Are you in that zone? Or are you just that kind of little guy that is not in that kind of stratosphere where Jimmy was? So, are you experienced? Enjoy.
Therefore, raise your hand for Thomas Blug Plays Hendrix. Good evening, everybody. If you can just get your mind